My name's Naomi Stead. I'm the head of the Department of Architecture at Monash University, and I'm here with my colleague Maria. Maria, can you tell me a bit about yourself?
My name is Maria Fullaondo. I am a Spanish architect. I have been in Australia 6 years already. Before coming to Australia, I spent 2 years in China. Basically, I feel that I belong to Spain, but I also belong to many other places.
Yeah, I'm really interested in your international experience. So in your 2 years in China, can you tell us a bit about that and how architectural education was different there from Spain and Australia?
For me, the most interesting experience was to know a little bit more about Asian culture. So being a European, usually we tend to think that Europe is the center of the world. And going to China, it was absolutely a fantastic experience to see that there is another culture that in that part of the world that is even as strong as the European. Regarding the education of architecture, it was very similar. The most difficult thing was for the students to change a little bit from high school, the way they learn in China. So the first year was a little bit tough for them to get in this creative mode. But in the moment that their minds click, it was absolutely impressive, their responses.
And then when you arrived in Australia, did you say that was 6 years ago?
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, what did you think of the Australian students and the Australian system then? What was surprising to you?
For me, coming to Australia, it was thinking that I was going to come to Europe, something very similar, because Australia is Western culture. And I was a little bit surprised that the architecture studies, it was surprised that it was not so focused on technical knowledge. So it was much more on creative thinking and design, compared to Europe, that it's a little bit wider. So architecture is also, the focus is also a lot in technical learning.
So tell me, what is it that you're going to be teaching in the coming semester, and what is it that you like teaching overall?
I'm going to teach one of my favorite areas that it's here is called communication. I will prefer to call it a communication, but also drawing the thing, because for me, drawing and design, they are not separate things. It's not only a way to communicate, drawing and communication is also a way to think. And it's great because it's to have contact with first year students and help them to create a kind of a foundation base of all the visual culture around architecture.
So, and also you're very interested in the idea of process as well, from what I understand. And as you said, drawing as a way of thinking. Can you tell us a bit about that?
So first thing, I don't distinguish between digital drawing or hand drawing or manual techniques. So drawing is everything, it's any visual procedure that allows you to communicate with others, but also with yourself, to materialize your ideas. Maybe it's not in a built environment, but in the moment that you build that ideas on paper, you are building something. And also another thing is, I don't distinguish between techniques. So any visual procedure, drawing for me, it's to make a model, to take a photograph, to do a watercolor, or to do a collage, a hybrid drawing. So I think that's super exciting for the students, that some of them are like super good with hand drawing, but they are not so good with digital drawing. So they have the opportunity to improve their skills in some areas that they are not so strong, but also to use the skills that they are very good. But at the end, the most important thing for us is to see how they have built their own language, their own way to think. And I feel super proud when I see students that they have developed and creating their own way to communicate, to draw, to design, and to think.
I wanted to ask you about what you were doing last year. You had a kind of fantastic adventure where you were took a little period away from Monash and were working in New York. Can you tell us a bit about that?
I was a visiting professor for one semester in New York, in City College of New York, teaching master students and also 4th and 5th year students, the end of the bachelor. And it was incredible experience to be in New York, but also to know another type of students.
And what did you like about living in New York?
I have been in love with New York since I was 16 years old, that I went for 1 month in summer to learn English. It's super dynamic city, is full of things to do. So you can feel the culture around you. You can go to exhibitions, to theaters, to galleries. Also, I love to walk on the streets and to see the people, the speed, and the architecture. It's absolutely amazing. There is no place like in New York or Manhattan. Probably one of my favorite buildings are in New York. So the Guggenheim by Frank Lloyd Wright, for me, it's masterpiece. Also the High Line by Diner Scofidio. Even if you don't want, it's always you are learning things and you are having, it's incredible, New York.
And what are your other favorite cities of the world? You come from Madrid originally, is that right?
Yes.
And do you love Madrid still? Do you miss it?
Of course, I miss Madrid. You miss your family, your friends, a little bit of the way of life. Cities that I love Sydney, I love Melbourne, I love London, Berlin. I have to live in a big city with many things going around me.
And has that always been the case? Is that part of the reason why you're interested in studying architecture as a young person?
Could be. Yeah, that's an interesting question. To be honest, I was doubting to study architecture or fine arts. It was called. I came from a family of architects. Well, my father was an architect, and he was very smart. And he has a conversation with me, and he told me, "Okay, Maria, if you are doubting between architecture or fine arts, I think you should study architecture, because being an architect, you can be also an artist. But being an artist is going to become more difficult to be an architect." And I think it was one of the best advices that I received, because it's true. My work is in between art and architecture, but without the background of being an architect, and maybe many things that I have done, it have been very difficult to do it.
So finally, if you could give a message to a first year student who is getting ready to study in the architectural communication subject in the second semester of this year, what would you tell that student?
To have fun. Yeah, to have fun, to explore, and to challenge themselves.
Great. Well, look, Maria, it's been a real pleasure talking to you, and thank you.
No, thank you.